She sat alone at table 7, a blind 10-year-old girl feeling for a Braille menu that wasn't there. Her lips trembled, and her whispered plea, "Mommy, come back soon," went unnoticed by the cafe staff, too busy or too afraid to care. But from the shadows, someone was watching. Not just a passerby, a billionaire, a woman with the power to destroy lives with a phone call. And in that moment, a waitress named Jade was about to do something that would change everything. Not just for the girl, but for an entire empire built on silence, secrets, and control. The smell of roasted espresso floated through Café Lumière, a polished space nestled in the wealthiest corner of the city. Behind the gleam of glassware and brushed steel counters, 26-year-old Jade Robinson worked quietly, wiping down the same section of marble countertop she'd cleaned twice already. But her eyes weren't on the cloth. They were on a little girl sitting alone at table 7. She was perfectly dressed, her posture straight, her dark glasses hiding eyes that could no longer see. Her small hands fumbled across the table for something that should have been there, a Braille menu. It wasn't. Her lips moved silently, then a whisper slipped out. "Mommy, come back soon." Jade glanced at the clock. 20 minutes had passed. "Kevin," she called to her manager, who was too busy scrolling through his phone. "Has anyone taken table 7? Kevin didn't even look up. "That's Mrs. Bennett's daughter. VIP. No one touches that table until she returns. Her mom's extremely picky." Jade swallowed hard. Everyone in the city knew that name. Victoria Bennett, CEO of Bennett Technologies. Ruthless, untouchable. The kind of woman who made or ruined careers with a single raised eyebrow. "She looks scared," Jade said, her voice low but insistent. Kevin finally met her eyes. "Jade, you're on probation. Don't make this harder for yourself." Then it happened. The girl's hand brushed a small vase at the edge of the table. It tipped. Water spilled, soaking her dress, scattering petals. She froze, lips trembling. Clumsily, she reached for napkins, trying to clean what she couldn't even see. Jade didn't hesitate. She crossed the cafe, ignoring the icy stares of other patrons. Kneeling beside the girl, she smiled. "Hey there," she said gently. "I'm Jade. I work here. Can I help?" The girl hesitated. "Where's my mom?" "She's not back yet. I thought maybe I could help you clean up, and maybe bring you something warm while you wait." The girl's lips quivered, then whispered, "I'm Clara. Mom said not to ask for anything until she got back." Jade checked the clock. It was nearly 5. The girl had been alone for almost 2 hours. "I'll keep your secret." Jade smiled. "How about some hot chocolate?" The smallest smile curled on Clara's lips. Moments later, Jade returned not just with hot chocolate, but a sandwich and cookies. She explained where each item was and guided Clara's hands with gentle confidence. "My little brother's blind," Jade said as they talked. "I know how important it is not to be treated like you're broken." For 15 minutes, the two of them sat and laughed, Clara talking about her favorite books in Braille and how she could identify constellations by touch, not sight. Neither of them noticed the black Mercedes pulling up outside. Inside, behind the tinted glass, Victoria. Bennett watched every second of their interaction, without saying a word. Victoria Bennett stepped out of the Mercedes, her designer heels tapping against the pavement like a slow countdown. Her reputation had preceded her. Flawless, calculated, never seen without purpose. She didn't walk into places. She claimed them. Inside Café Lumière, the manager Kevin nearly tripped over himself trying to greet her. "Mrs. Bennett, so sorry about the wait. Everything is under control. She walked past him without a glance. Victoria didn't speak until she stood directly in front of them. Clara looked up. "Mommy, Jade was so nice. She brought me chocolate and told me how stars are like music you feel instead of hear." Victoria's gaze dropped to the half-eaten cookies, to the crumbs, to the audacity. Then she looked at Jade. "You're Jade Robinson?" The calm, razor-sharp tone made the room fall silent. Jade stood up slowly. "Yes, ma'am. I see you took the liberty of feeding my daughter." Jade nodded. She was hungry and afraid. Victoria opened her purse and pulled out a sleek leather wallet. "How much do I owe for the meal?" "Nothing," Jade replied, steady. "It's on the house." Victoria's eyes narrowed, but instead of reacting, she turned to her daughter. "Let's go, Clara." Clara clung to Jade's hand for a second longer than necessary. "Can we come back tomorrow? Jade promised to teach me how to tell cappuccino from macchiato by smell." They left. Jade exhaled. Then Kevin hissed behind her, "In my office, now." Rain streaked the windows of Jade's cramped apartment as she stared at the resignation letter. She didn't need to open it. The look on Kevin's face had been enough. She had dared to disobey orders for kindness. Beside the letter sat an eviction notice, unpaid bills, an empty fridge. Her phone buzzed. "Danny calling," the screen read. Her 16-year-old brother, blind since age 5. Her reason for everything. She picked up. "Don't give up," Daniel said. "You always said everything happens for a reason." "I lost my job for helping a child, Danny." "What could be the reason for that?" Before he could answer, her intercom crackled to life. "Miss Robinson, I am Margaret Chun, legal assistant at Bennett Technologies. Mrs. Bennett requests your presence for a meeting. Tomorrow. 9 a.m. Jade's fingers tightened around the phone, and, just like that, her life took a turn she never could have predicted. Section 4. The test 45 minutes later, Jade stood on the 45th floor of Bennett Technologies, wearing her best thrift store dress. The space screamed money and power. She didn't belong. Victoria stood with her back to the city, arms folded, gaze cold. "Do you know why I left Clara alone for nearly 2 hours?" she asked. Jade blinked. "No, ma'am." To see who would notice her. The words hit like ice. 17 people passed that table. Staff, customers, your manager. No one stopped. Except you. A folder slid across the table. Inside was a check. Wrongful termination compensation. More money than Jade had ever seen. "I'm not for sale," she said, pushing it back. Victoria's eyebrow twitched. "Everyone has a price. Not me. And using your blind daughter as bait is disgusting." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Victoria smiled. Just slightly. "Interesting. Another folder. A different offer. My daughter needs a companion. Someone real. You'll be paid 10 times what you earned at that cafe." Jade hesitated. "Why me? Clara has a perfect ear for lies. You're the first person who didn't talk down to her. You're authentic." And just like that, the game changed. 3 weeks later, Jade walked through the mansion's arched halls like a ghost in someone else's life. Clara flourished under her care, laughing, asking questions, rediscovering joy. Jade taught her how to map stars with her fingers, how to brew tea by scent, how to hear the difference between laughter and politeness. Victoria observed quietly, her emotions unreadable. "You've changed her," she said one day. "I just see her," Jade replied, "not her condition." Then one morning, while organizing Clara's room, Jade found a box behind the closet. Inside was a diary and a USB stick. "It's Mom's," Clara said. "Uncle Trevor helped me hide it." That night, Jade plugged the USB into her laptop. Photos, videos, headlines. Never published. Victoria Bennett investigated for driving under the influence. Bennett daughter blinded in car crash. Case sealed by judge. Settlement reached, and an email. From Trevor to Victoria. Clara deserves to know. One day. Jade leaned back, breathless. The truth wasn't just painful, it was buried deep in power and guilt. The next morning, Victoria announced a sudden meeting. With the Foundation for Visually Impaired Children, she claimed, but something in her voice set off alarms. Jade placed a small tracking device in Clara's backpack. 3 hours later, the GPS pinged from a remote clinic, over 100 kilometers away. Jade called the only ally she had, Trevor Bennett, cancels Clara's treatments every time, Trevor admitted when they met. Ones that could help restore her vision. She's afraid. If Clara sees again, she'll see who her mother really is. Together, they drove to the clinic. Through the window, they saw Victoria arguing with a doctor. Clara sat alone in an exam room. She repeats the tests twice a year, Trevor whispered, to make sure Clara stays blind. Jade didn't wait. She stormed in. It's over, Trevor said, handing her a folder. We have the files, the accident, the cover-up, the treatments you denied. I can't lose her, Victoria whispered. She's all I have. Clara stepped forward, her voice small but steady. I always knew, Mom. Victoria collapsed to her knees. Tears finally fell. I didn't want you to see the truth. I don't hate you for the accident, Clara said. I hate you for the lies. The doctor approached. There's a 60% chance of partial recovery. She's eligible. Clara turned to Jade. What would you do? It doesn't matter, Jade said, gripping her hand. What do you want? Clara's jaw clenched. I want to try. Victoria nodded silently, and for the first time, didn't try to control the outcome. 6 months later, golden leaves blanketed the Bennett estate. Clara pointed excitedly toward a tree. I can see its outline. It's orange and brown. She twirled, laughing. It wasn't full sight, but for someone, trapped in darkness for 5 years, it was a miracle. Victoria watched from the porch, her usual stillness softened by something new. Regret. You know what scares me most? She asked Jade. Not Clara blaming me, realizing I tried to control everything when I couldn't even control myself. That night, she called Jade into her study. I want you to run the foundation, she said, not as staff, as partner, with full autonomy. Jade hesitated. Why? Because you saw my daughter when I couldn't. You saw people, not tools. And so, Café Lumiere's ex-waitress became the woman reshaping lives. Clara hosted her first art exhibit for visually impaired children. Daniel performed for a packed auditorium at Wellington Academy. Trevor smiled more. Victoria laughed again, and one child asked her, Are you blind too? Victoria knelt. No, sweetheart, but I used to be. Because sometimes you don't need eyes to see. You just need someone brave enough to tell the truth, no matter the cost.